Now, you're in for a treat today because we aren't only taking a behind the scenes look at the most important SOP or standard operating procedure that you need to be using in your online business. I don't care if you are running an online business, if you are providing services. We are going to go full on in tutorial mode so that you are 100% ready to implement after today's video. My name is Sarah Noked, and my team and I here at OBM School have helped hundreds of thousands of online support professionals, ex-corporate employees, and people who want to get their feet in this game, blow the roof off of their virtual businesses as online business managers. And we use this channel as an outlet to pour over 2 decades of virtual knowledge into it so that all of you can eagerly gobble it all up and get cracking. So in today's video, we're talking SOPs. And in case you didn't know, SOPs or standard operating procedures make up the backbone of a well-organized and productive business. They ensure that your team is working consistently and confidently on their tasks in a cohesive and strategic way. You and your client need SOPs to run everything from content creation to launching to all of the operational stuff. They are non-negotiable, period. But where on earth do you start? How do you create a solid SOP? Well, that is exactly what we're about to dive into. The SOP for creating SOPs. Yes. That is what we call it. So get ready to take some notes because today we're going to take you through our very own tested, proven, and trusted SOP that will help you get your own systems all buttoned up and ready to go. And before we kick in, I will mention that our entire standard operating procedure vault is included with our programs inside of OBM School. So if you want more of these and you know you can leverage these with your clients, feel free to check out obmschool.com. Now, let's take a closer look at how we set up our master SOP. Now, the first thing that you will want to look at are the prerequisites or the pieces that need to happen before you can get started on implementing. So set yourself up for success right from the get-go. This could include using the right access emails, making sure you're logged into the correct project management tool, how to access certain softwares that they might need that are included in the tech stack in your business. So anything that a team member needs to create a standard operating procedure. One of the other big things that I don't want to forget to mention here is where things get saved, right? So if you are using a cloud, where on earth are you going to save these new standard operating procedures so that your whole team can access them? So the next step is brainstorming and listing out any partnering procedures and resources. So what do I mean by this? So consider if there are any other processes or systems that would parallel or would complement this SOP. For example, if you are creating a master SOP for hiring, you're going to link other related SOPs like offboarding and onboarding and all that good stuff. Resources, on the other hand, indicate those tools that will be linked in the following procedures throughout the instruction process. They may be things like links to other email templates or content templates. In the case of this SOP, the master SOP, we have linked our SOP template, a master document for naming conventions, an SOP for maintaining SOPs, an SOP for archiving SOPs, our master sheet, which contains our entire list of SOPs, a link to our SOP Google Drive folder, and all of that good stuff. And again, I invite you to check out our programs inside obmschool.com if you want these, because we give all of these as part of our program because I know how important this is to have systems buttoned up if you are a service support professional, and also if you are running your own online business, maybe even being the own online business manager in your business. So after you've gathered all these procedures and resources, you're going to want to list or label the purpose of the SOP. In other words, explain to your team why on earth this document is helpful and how it can support the business. Now, from this master SOP, the purpose is pretty straightforward. You can explain the purpose of your master SOP or any SOP in line with something like, standard operating procedures allow us to maintain a high level of quality assurance and standardization in the way that we operate. SOPs are a big part of company culture and contribute successfully to our ability to scale and operate with a virtual team. Having documented and maintained procedures and processes in place for every recurring task okay, recurring task in the business allows us to streamline systems, be as productive as possible, and just get things done in a standardized kind of way. Now, the next thing is that you need to list and consider the policy of this task, or the standards and the guidelines that your team must follow to remain organized and on top of whatever they're doing. So in this case, we would make sure to list our SOP template document, which was listed in the resource section, because each time that someone goes in to create an SOP, they're going to want to know and need to know what the size, spacing, headers, and overall format to use. And yes, being this specific will no doubt help you in the long run, right? We want things to look pretty and to be useful and not to be messy and out of line or inconsistent. Additionally, we would add our naming convention guideline master document, the SOP Google Drive folder, and SOP master sheet, all listed in those initial resources. Now, I'm not going to get too into those because that's very specific, but it's just the way that we have organized the back end of our SOPs. And in OBM School, we also list subfolders for further organization. As you can see here, we have a folder for operations, sales and products, marketing delivery, or the delivery of our services, and growth, which deals with things like training and onboarding. And again, all of those are part of our systems vault inside of OBM School. That way, you aren't scrambling to find a specific SOP. They aren't all scrambled together. So dividing and subdividing will help you keep all of your smaller SOPs accessible in this master SOP. Now, once you have all of this groundwork laid out, and believe me, systems and using your brain to consider how to streamline processes and document processes takes up a lot of brain space. So I want you to take the time to lay out a groundwork using the SOP for creating SOPs so that you can really maximize your team and the general time moving forward that is going to take to complete the SOPs and the task that it describes. This will really help your team members allocate the right amount of time to a task and plan ahead so that they are always on top of it. In general, it should take about an hour to complete the creation of an SOP or two, especially if you have all of your resources documented, ready to go, and organized within Google Drive or whatever cloud you're using already. So over time, creating SOPs will become easier and easier in terms of having all of your preliminary tasks and documents in a row and ready to go. However, when creating any new SOP, you may find holes in the process that need to be refined, especially if you're coming in as an online business manager and setting up systems on behalf of your clients. The systems already exist there, but they need to be refined and streamlined. But don't worry, all the time spent solidifying an efficient process will save the company hours in the long run. Next, we need to dig a little bit deeper and look at the process parties and timelines. So what do I mean by this? The process serves as that high-level overview of the main steps or parts involved in the procedure. The party is who will be completing the task, and the timeline is clearly discussing how much time should be allocated to it. Now, by using the RACI formula, I love RACI. Let me know if you want me to make a video about using the RACI formula. It's responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. It's really the backbone of task delegation, and it really becomes clear who is assigned what task in the process. The person responsible in most scenarios keeps the SOPs and attached documents updated and reviewed periodically. So for this master SOP, we have 6 parts. Set up to create the SOP, create the SOP, request review, finalize the SOP, archive the SOP, SOP review and revision. And for each of these tasks, you can see who is responsible and the timeline that is needed to create it. In most cases, your OBM or VA will be responsible for creating and reviewing the SOPs that need to be put in place. This procedure and guidelines, the next step, goes a bit deeper into the step-by-step instructions on how to perform each part of the process that is outlined and that I outlined earlier. So this section is critical for ensuring that the implementer has the clear understanding of the tasks they need to complete to carry out their duties according to this SOP. In other words, it needs to be clear, concise, and easy to follow, and may include visual aids, important tips and videos and tools and links. You want to give the implementer everything they need to carry out the process. So let's briefly go through each part of this master SOP. The first step is to set up to create the SOP, which looks something like this. Log into Google Drive SOP folder, create a copy of the template By the way, if you head on over to obmschool.com/SOP, you can actually grab a copy of this template, move it to the appropriate SOP subfolder, and then to the appropriate SOP master folder within this subfolder. If you are unclear where the SOP should live, refer to the subfolder definitions in the policy above or consult with an online business manager. And again, we've got our directory over at obmschool.com/directory. If you need systems in your business and you're watching this, feel free to check out some of our OBMs who can help you create these SOPs. Now, you want to rename this SOP using the naming convention found in the master document, guidelines, naming conventions in our systems vault. And make sure to preface the title in the doc and the name title with review. Then make the share settings for the file accessible to the company. Make sure that the file can be accessible and is editable to all the team members with the email address. And just on a side note, we use Google Suite for all of the email addresses. And I find that that's the best way to sort of give access and revoke access as seamlessly as possible. So once you have shared it, and if you already are using Google Suite, then it's inherent, but you want to update the master SOP all SOP systems vault with the SOP details, then navigate to the current section. Note that the SOPs are broken down by subfolders. Create a new line in the section and update the details. Indicate the status, that always has to stay active. So in this case, it's under review, and then fill out all the information listed. Now, part 2 is actually creating the SOP, which covers everything we have gone over so far in this master SOP, like mapping out the prerequisites, partnering procedures and resources, purpose, policy, pace, parties, processes, and timelines, procedure, and something that we haven't covered yet, performance indicators. And the last part of part 2 being check your work. When you finish the task, please check your work. Double check that it's complete. Reread it for review for any steps missed or listed. And some SOPs can get fairly complicated, and then you want to request SOP review. So in the project management tool, and I hope you are using a PM tool, go over to your operations management project, and then in the SOP management and maintenance task list, which for sure you've got set up, and if you don't, you should, under the SOP task list creation, create a new task, review SOP name. And for example, review SOP, creating an automation for an opt-in in Entreport, and then your company name. In the task description, add the name and link to the SOP that requires review. For example, review SOP, creating an automation for an opt-in in Entreport, company name, link to the document. Assign the task to the OBM or project manager responsible for reviewing the SOP and notify the person responsible. Co-assign yourself on this task for follow-up and follow the SOP all the way through to completion. Now, part 4 is finalizing SOP. So update that master sheet. And again, these are juicy resources that are included inside of our OBM School programs, but you want to update the master sheet, all SOPs, systems vault, with the status complete. You want to remove the preface review from the title, and then part 5 focuses on archiving the SOPs. So you can see inside of that SOP, we have a whole naturally procedure for archiving SOPs when they're no longer relevant. And part 6 looks at SOP reviews and revisions. So this SOP will be reviewed and revised as necessary by the party responsible as indicated in the process, parties, and timelines, and all of that amazing stuff that we have discussed thus far. Now, finally, you're going to want to take a look at the key performance indicators or KPIs to monitor the effectiveness of the SOP. And in this case, you will want to consider SOP completion time, or the time it takes to create and finalize a new SOP from the initiation of the documentation process to its completion. So this indicator really helps to identify any delays or inefficiencies in the SOP creation process in this specific example. Accuracy and quality. The accuracy and quality of the created SOPs. Assess indicators such as adherence to organizational standards, clarity of instruction, and alignment with best practices. Review and approval time. The time taken for the review and approval process of new SOPs. So this indicator helps identify any bottlenecks or delays in the review process ensuring timely implementation and completion. I know that that was an earful, and if I were you, I would save this video to refer to later when you find yourself in need of some guidance when creating SOPs. And trust me, once you get started, it does become easier with time. And if you are feeling eager to get systematizing after watching this video, make sure to download our free OBM SOP starter kit, which includes some of the templates I've described. Whether you are setting up SOPs for your clients or for your own business, this is a great place to start. I will drop the link in the resources below. This is free so that you can get that ball rolling today. And if you have any questions at all about what we discussed, drop me a comment below so that I can get back to you personally. And before we go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can catch our next video. I hope to see you there.